Encounters with Spirit Messengers. Part 5. The Spirit of the Sacred Lake. Sometimes, as a well-deserved reward for a work well done, with the best of intentions to preserve and heal a natural environment, a highly developed spirit of nature, such as the female spirit of the sacred lake, is allowed to contact a human spirit with the intention to show him or her the next step to follow in a never-ending spiritual evolution that will help the immediate future of both realms, the natural and the human, who are closely related in the evolutionary scheme of our Heavenly Father. A rare event such as the one here mentioned took place in this occasion, and its story is described as follows. The Blue Mantle. At about 4 in the afternoon, the Santa Maria furrowed again the calm waters of Lake Chapala. The segment to complete this day would finish the last southwest portion of its enormous circumference, and we did not think this would take us too much time. Within New Way, everything was quietness and harmony, because the group perceived that this day would be truly special. Quickly, and in a natural way, it reigned in all a spontaneous and refreshing silence, introspection and peace. I have never seen so many fishermen boats inside a sacred lake. Meanwhile, the 3 small ones played animatedly in the wooden floor of the Santa Maria, who furrowed light in the water. Don Antonio, knowing that this trip would not be too long, led the Santa Maria at low speed, as if wanting to enjoy completely this last segment as much as he could. Contemplating the beautiful mountains that surrounded the sacred lake from the aquatic perspective was a moving experience. The imposing old figure of the Green Elder, which surely was aware of our work, came to my mind, and before its mental image, I could not avoid an ample smile of satisfaction and pride. The Santa Maria, who had gone to the west, changed her course to the north, just in front of the highest mountain of those that surround the sacred lake, and at whose feet the town of San Luis Soyatlan was located. It was already 6 in the afternoon, and we started the final part of the passage that will take us to our departure point, initiated many journeys back. Just then, and after taking seat in the bow of the Santa Maria, I was gradually surrounded by a veil of absolute silence in which I didn't have any volition. This stillness increased by the swinging on of the boat on the surface of the water. Aware of the fact that this was perhaps the beginning of a great spiritual gift, I decided to completely surrender to the experience, leaving aside all attempt to judge, compare, or explain my strange perception. A moment later, when raising my eyes and fixing them into the lake, what I saw filled me with astonishment. Wherever I could see, the normal dividing line of the horizon had been blurred. Only a blue and barren bottom. The numerous boats of fishermen that I could see at the distance seemed to float everywhere, as well as our boat. Everything seemed to be suspended in a sky blue clear and beautiful. For some instants I lost all notion of location on earth or sky and could not perceive exactly where we were going through the smooth swinging of the Santa Maria. In spite of the splendor of my vision, another irresistible force began to take control of my volition, because I felt I had to close my eyes to allow receiving an even better introspection than the one that I was witnessing in awe. The irrationality of this proposal took me to resist for brief moments the ending of the gorgeous feeling of being floating in the blue and loving mantle that surround us all with great tenderness. The female spirit of the sacred lake. I breathed deeply, as if wanting to inhale as much beauty as I could, and my eyes closed immediately. After hearing what seemed like several rings of a small but delicate crystal bell, whose resonating sounds I perceived with smoothness but enormous intensity behind and in the middle of my eyes, something in me began to move at an enormous speed, within which it seemed to be an enormous underground cavern. I was leaving back shreds of my own being, which somehow I felt would not be of any use for an appointment in which I was the only absentee. Moments later, and which whatever was left of my own self, I saw them. There were the most beautiful eyes that I was fortunate to see in my whole life, and they watched me with an enormous love. They belonged, surely, to an extremely beautiful woman, and were staring at me with such intensity that I found impossible to see them for a prolonged time. After 2 or 3 winks in which somehow I sensed important messages were given to me, those stunning celestial windows disappeared of my vision and my eyes opened immediately. The sudden return to my normal state of perception produced in me such a shock that I fell on my back and upon Felix, who was just seated behind me in the Santa Maria, causing, of course, an explosion of laughter in the entire group. Well, well, whom do we have here? Felix commented in laughter. Sorry, Felix, I answered. Look, we're already arriving, Paloma intervened, pointing at the not-so-distant site on the shore from which one day we had initiated our circle months back. Yes, the 3 small ones shouted. Immediately afterwards, and on a totally spontaneous way, a session of affectionate hugs between all the presents began within the Santa Maria, including by all means Don Antonio and his son, our steady and reliable guides in Lake Chapala. They received with evident pride the resounding ovation that in their honor and of their dear Santa Maria new way dedicated with great affection. We all intuited in our hearts that everything had concluded. We had managed to bring successfully to a close a sacred circle around our dear Chapala Lake. A guardian of the place closed the ritual door. The sacred spirit who animates the sacred lake received our candid message of love and hard work in favor of its quick recovery. We managed to fulfill the request to help delivered to us by the Green Elder. Now everything was in the hands of the sacred and highest spirit who animates us all, and of the sacred guardians of the place.